Welcome to the Onboard Week studio. We will broadcast interesting insights from our speakers, inspirational talks and discussions every day at 10 a.m. Central European Time, this week from Monday to Friday. My name is Cyril van Hoof and I am the moderator of the Onboard Week 2020. I'm excited, but I'm also a little bit nervous because it's my first time. And Alan Walker did such an amazing job on moderating the last 4 events, and he put the bar really high. So thanks for that, Alan. Now, welcome everybody who tuned in from all over the world. The Onboard Week is an initiative of Apical, the company that provides a digital onboarding solution. And our goal with this event is to share knowledge on onboarding and to help you to create the most memorable onboarding experience. Now, in the networking sessions at the end of each day, apart from meeting the speakers, you will be also able to learn more about Apical's products, or you just plan in a personal meeting with our onboarding experts, and you can do that through the link in the chat. Now, this program has been made possible by our partners, Yes We Connect, Great Place to Work, Validata, Smart Recruiters, and Visma. Now, this is our first day, and today our speakers will explore onboarding as part of an impactful employee's journey. We will hear how engineers from all over the world can feel at home as quickly as possible through onboarding at Lightyear. We will learn about onboarding from the point of view of different clients from Visma. And furthermore, we will have a discussion on how to implement the startup mentality and technology in a corporate organization with Heineken. So I want to welcome our speakers here at the table.
Hi.
Good morning, Noortje Verwiel from Lightyear.
Yes, hi.
Sander Houtveen from Visma and Herman Rolvers from Heineken.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Let's get to know our guests a little bit better, and let's start with Herman. So Herman, what is the first place you would go to visit after the lockdown?
First place, no doubt, Paradiso.
Yeah.
I love alternative music, and I sit on a bunch of vouchers, so I need to make sure that I get value for my money.
Yeah.
And well, as a matter of fact, I was supposed to be with Thurston Moore on Thursday, but unfortunately that was cancelled as well. Paradiso, first stop.
Yeah, and from which artist?
Well, Thurston Moore, I was supposed to see Thurston Moore on Thursday. So he's one of the founders of an iconic band. I'm not sure if you know them, Sonic Youth.
Yeah, of course.
They inspired Nirvana, for example. But I also have vouchers of the O'Shees and still supposed to see Nick Cave as well, but that's in a different venue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, I hope that we can enjoy concerts pretty soon again, because I think music is so important, especially in these times.
Yeah.
Do you play a lot of music at home as well?
I do, yeah.
Yeah?
Constant, music is constant,
Yeah. Okay, Herman, you're a Heineken's Director of Global HR Technology and Solutions. Wow, that's a mouthful. Yeah. So what do you do at Heineken? And can you briefly explain a little bit, a few of your responsibilities?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my job title is indeed impressive, but I think it all comes down to making sure that we deliver on a mission. And that mission within Heineken is that with the help of technology, we want to become fully employee-centric and people inside-led. And that's not per se easy, and I'll talk a bit about that in our interview.
Yeah.
But that's what it's all about. It is about a seamless experience that we all enjoy when we are listening online music, or we watch movies on Netflix, all of that stuff that is happening outside of work, and that more and more people also expect when they come to work, and even when they start to onboard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, our last questions for now then. Approximately, How many liters beer do you sell per year, and how many brands does Heineken have?
We are the second largest brewer in the world, and we sell roughly 300 brands around the world. The most well-known, of course, is the Heineken. It's our flagship brands, but we also own, for example, Birra Moretti, Lagunitas. There's a whole bunch of brands out there. And altogether, consolidated, that is close to 250,000 hectoliters a year.
Oh my God,
that's a lot of bottles and cans that you get.
And a lot of fun. Okay, let's go to Noortje.
Hi.
And I'll start off with you with an icebreaker first. What was the last thing you did for the first time?
I went gliding for the first time.
Ah, that's so cool.
In September, yeah, it was just insanely amazing to fly just by using the wind. It's insane. It's such an insane experience.
Yeah. And is it a one-time experience, or are you gonna do it more often, you think?
I think it was actually I don't know if it was going to be a one-timer, although I think it's never gonna be the same again.
Yeah, as
that first time. I don't think I'm gonna get that again.
No,
so
I have to say, a year ago I did exactly the same.
Yeah.
And you get pulled with a rope into the air,
yeah. Oh.
and then suddenly you get disconnected, and that's pretty scary.
The drop, yeah.
but after that you get like this total silence and so peaceful. It's just a magical moment.
Yeah, no engines, just the wind and the airplane.
Or maybe we can do it together one
day.
That would be nice. Yeah. Okay, what is your role within Lightyear, and how long do you work there?
I work as an employee happiness within Lightyear. And that means that I try to facilitate or set up processes that make employees happy. So that varies from onboarding to giving Dutch classes, or maybe learning and development, or internal communication. So it's very extensive.
Yeah.
And I've been working for a little over 2.5 years.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I read that there's a new model coming out, the Lightyear 1. And it sounds pretty unique because it looks like you don't have to charge it on a daily basis. Am I correct?
Yeah, so we have a solar roof, which means that you, as well as just a socket, so you can also just charge it with electricity. You can also use the power of the sun to drive, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool model. And where can I go for a test ride?
Okay, we're still developing the prototype.
Okay, I'm a little bit too enthusiastic.
And next year, we should be done with some prototypes, so the first investors and the first people that bought the car could actually go for a test ride next year.
Okay, but you keep me in mind.
I'll keep you in the loop.
Ah, deal. Thank you, Noortje. Okay, Sander, we would also like to get to know you a little bit better. What did you do last weekend?
I had a great weekend. The weather was perfect here in the Netherlands. So yesterday I went to the beach with my family. That was really great. And this Saturday I also work at the fire department.
Oh, okay.
So I was on duty last Saturday. I work as a volunteer. It was quite not that busy this Saturday. But
but that's a good thing.
That's a good thing for the people.
So through the week you work at Visma, and in the weekends you're a local hero.
Yeah, well, no, the whole week we are as a volunteer we can be called on every month of the day. So, but once in a time you have duty, and then you can,
Yeah, but you're still a hero then, to me,
well,
to a lot of people. Okay. Now, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so please connect with me if you feel like, and also with the speakers here at the table. And what I saw on your profile is that you're working for over more than 10 years already at Visma. That's quite a long time.
Yeah, quite a long time.
And can you tell a little bit more about your career at Visma?
Well, I started out as a sales rep, new business. So I was responsible for getting customers to sign for our solutions and then hand it over to our implementation office. And I think it was about a year and a half where I really missed the connection with my clients. So I did the first important part, getting the customer to like our software solution. But then I always handed it over to a different team. And I really wanted to get on the journey with our customers, helping them optimize the processes with our software. So that's when I started having my role in consultancy, and I still do it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah. Now, I know Visma actually from the Jumbo cycling team, and you guys came second in the Tour de France. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, of course.
First in the Vuelta.
Yeah.
You wanted to tell that.
That's true. Because, till yesterday, there was a little bit of disappointment because we came in second. Well, you're the first loser, of course. And it was a great tour. We had the yellow jersey for like till the last second, till the last 2 days. And then there came this time trial, and we lost the yellow jersey. But still an incredible performance. But yesterday, we won the Vuelta for the second time.
Yeah, great.
So, really cool, really cool.
Yeah, congratulations. congratulations again. But what does Visma really do?
Visma is a European cloud software company. We have a lot of solutions, all pinpointed to HR solutions, finance solutions, and we got like a best of breed portfolio, all related to HR topics and finance topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sander. Now, the last thing we want to introduce to you is the Onboard Awards, a very important part of the Onboard Week. And we are celebrating other companies' efforts and progress in their onboarding and reboarding. And the nominees of this week are able to win 3 awards. So let's go to Victor Romein, the chosen spokesman of the jury, to hear who the nominees are for today's awards. So, Victor!
Thank you so much, Cheryl. My name is Victor, and today we will be looking at the Onboard Award for larger companies. The nominees of today are the Amsterdam UMC, DPG Media, HP, PepsiCo Mexico, Quality Wellness Resorts, and SH Hotels and Resorts. The winner will be announced after today's session, so stay tuned.
Thank you so much, Victor. Let's get back to today's topic and get the program started so you can win the Onboard Awards next year. So the topic of today is onboarding as part of an impactful employee's journey. And in the preparation sessions, we found out there's not one holy grail solution for onboarding and not one perfect program that fits all organizations. But what we did find is a lot of valuable insights. So we hope to surprise you this week with relevant insight, so you can choose from a wide block of building blocks where you can choose from for onboarding in your organization. And just let's learn from each other today and the rest of the week. And we can do that right away, so please fill out this poll. So back to you guys at the table. Let's talk about the topic first. Yeah. And Herman, what do you think is the importance of onboarding?
Yeah, the importance of, I think that experience is king. So everything you do nowadays as with your customers and your consumers, experience is king. That's what we do with selling beers, but that's also what we need to do when onboarding people. So it's all about in-the-moment engagement, enablement, empowerment. You know, people need to be able to hit the ground running. I think that's the most important thing. And I also think it should not start on the first day. It should start on the first day after I've hired you. That's when your onboarding really starts. Yeah. And in the context of Heineken, I think you said a very important thing. It's also not a one-size-fits-all. We have 80 operating companies around the world. They're all unique, you know. So you also need to make sure that the onboarding is really unique for someone that you onboard in Japan versus someone that you onboard in Brazil.
Yeah. And is that the same in your organization, Sander?
Yeah, we are a European cloud software company, so we also got some different nationalities with all kind of different needs where they want to have the focus on. So it can be on culture, it can be on clarification, it can be on compliance. So I can really relate to the story of what Heineken is telling us. Yeah.
Yeah. And Noortje, what is the impact of good onboarding on the new hire in the employee's journey?
Well, I think what is really important is if you can keep those people or if you can get them engaged from the moment they enter the company, they will flourish. And they will flourish, they will start to work for the company, work on creating and building that mission. And you will see that in a rise of productivity, which is a win-win for both the employee as well as the employer.
Yeah. And what negative consequences can not having a good onboarding in place lead to?
Well, it's exactly the other way around. So if you don't engage that employee, if the employee does not know what is expected from him or her, then it will reduce that productivity. An employee will not know what to do, and that will lead to that loss of productivity and completely disengagement, which is absolutely not what you want as an employer.
No, when you do a good onboarding, you truly create an ambassador for your brand, for your company. So it will also attract other people who want to work for your company. So it's key to have a good onboarding.
Yeah,
that's really important because in these times where everybody is online. A bad experience is known within seconds and by everyone. The other way around, a good experience also travels fast. So you better focus big time on a great experience.
And Sander, do you have maybe a personal onboarding experience that went wrong?
No. I have one. Like you mentioned, I worked at Visma for a long time, so good things times some things change. But when I started at Visma, we have a really a wide variety of solutions that we have. And the philosophy of our HR department then was to give that much information, too much information in the first week. So I knew everything. Well, I knew they talked to me about all the kind of solutions, but I only remembered a little bit. So what I advised after my onboarding week was make it really fitable for me as a person, for me as a role in my role that I was attending then. So not too much information in the first couple of days.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm really looking forward to both of your talks and give interesting onboarding examples. Yeah. But I would like to go and dive a little bit deeper into the general element of topics today, which is the employee's journey with Herman. So Herman, I presume that in your role at Heineken, you have to be aware of the employee's journey.
Oh,
Is
for
that
sure.
the case?
No, absolutely, absolutely. Everything that we do, actually, when you think about automating experience, when you want to simplify it, make it more engaging, the employee experience needs to be center and front.
Yeah.
In everything that you do, from the start until the very end, you need to
it's really the starting point of your work. Yeah. And how do you find out what can be improved in that journey for your employees?
Well, it's actually very simple. Talk to employees to begin with. So everything that we commit to at Heineken, starts with an understanding of what they want and what they expect from us. And I don't think there's any other way than about doing that. You involve them in the solutions that you are building, all the way from ID to testing. That's, I think, how you really get things moving.
Yeah, and I understand it's pretty challenging for companies to transform their HR organizations. But what are the barriers, and why is that?
Yeah, I think that what you see is with many large, well-established global companies, they usually have a tendency to act like an oil tanker when you want to embed change. And what you really need actually is a mindset and more an action that you see with startups. Yeah. And that is more like a speedboat rather than an oil tanker. And I think that shift in mindset is the biggest barrier. Yeah. And I think that if you, for example, would look in your company, you have it's probably a lot can do. There's not an awful lot established. Yeah. And with a company like ours, very proud, very rich history. Yeah. There's also a lot of this is how we do it.
He also bonded to that history.
Yeah.
And change of mindset doesn't come overnight. It takes time.
It takes an awful lot of time. It takes an awful lot of time. Yeah.
And how do you find the right digital solutions to deliver the transformations you need?
Yeah, I think that I was also thinking when you were asking about that onboarding experience, a lot of it is still old school, what you see. Yeah. And also when a lot of companies also take an old school approach to identifying solutions. And what I mean with that is that they automatically go for the RFI and RFP. They go to the marketplace, ask an awful lot of information, then they drill down to only very few. Then they do another big event to get the best price out of the market. We did a fundamental different thing. We decided to launch the HR Brewhouse. We did that for the very first time last year in Singapore. And the Brewhouse is not, I wouldn't say, is not a hackathon. We didn't ask people to come in and write code for us. I think it was quite different. I think if I have to think about it, I think it's probably some sort of a mixture between hackathon meets Dragon's Den. Yeah. And it's all about also about the values of Heineken, being curious, being entrepreneurial, wanting to know what is out there. What do other software companies do actually that can help us as a company to become fully employee-centric and people inside-led? And that last bit is super important for us because that's basically what we're set to do. Anything that we do in HR with technology must help us to become fully employee-centric and people inside-led. Yeah. Anything, all the way from identifying solutions to testing it, everything needs to make sure that we become that very, employee-centric company. Yeah. Now, I think the Brewhouse is a great idea. It's very innovative, out-of-the-box thinking. Thank you. I think so. I think it's really nice. How do you identify and target those areas ready for change? Well, if I put this very simple, you just ask your employees what keeps you awake at night. Yeah. You just ask them, what is it that you want to see happening in your company today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow? And we did it very simple. At the start of our journey, we had created journeys, employee journeys. We had identified pain points. We also asked our employees to drill down on those pain points. And we now, in the next stage, we basically said to them, help us prioritize them, and we basically hosted a poll like we do today online, and we said, what is that we need to focus on? And that's how we got to 4 challenges in Singapore about recruiting for superstars. It was around seamless onboarding, because we could also still do a bit better there as a company. It was also around building on employee insights, to make them feel more happy. And it was also because we were super curious, tell us what's out there. So we also had a wild card. That's how we did it. So once we knew
what is a wild card?
The wild card was basically, if you're not in the first 3 categories and you want to surprise Heineken, come to us.
Okay, that's a wild card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you take your employees with you on this journey of change?
Yeah, I think that the employee experience is central to us, central to becoming fully employee-centric and people inside-led. And when, in the slipstream of the event, when we started to test and experiment, we simply asked the employees who were testing those solutions, tell us what you think, How likely are you to recommend the solution to your peers to use it, is it easy to use? What value does it bring? And basically what we did is capture all these insights and learnings on the go. And I think this is pretty fundamental, because I think that you can never see these events as some sort of a corporate HR or corporate IT party. You also always need to remind yourselves for who will be using these tools. You always need to go back to your employees, your managers, also HR.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's, I think, how you fundamentally drive it.
Yeah, because you involve the employees as well. They feel seen, they feel heard.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. So it's not only one-way direction, it goes 2 ways. Exactly. And what were the driving forces behind your identification for a digital solution for onboarding? Yeah,
there were a number of them, actually. Well, first of all, we didn't want to do that RFI, RFP thing that I mentioned.
Yeah.
So we wanted to engage with startups and scale-ups and see where we could create win-wins, What were the opportunities that we together identified that we would both benefit from? And then the second thing was, again, those journeys, those journeys that we mapped at the very beginning, the pain points that we felt, and the engagement with the employees, that helped us really to prioritize again, okay, Heineken, this is where you need to focus on. Because this is where we feel, let's say, the pain when we onboard. Onboard was one of those journeys that we mapped, by the way, where we felt, we can do better.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we should do better as Heineken.
Yeah. Okay, and Sander, do you see a trend like this as well at Visma?
Yeah. Of course, because the whole speed up of the speedboating, the startups, it's like doing a major upcoming thing in the developing of software. But you also have something like legalization that you keep in mind of. So what are the company rules? What are the national rules that you should adjust into your software? But we are currently looking in our portfolio to partners like startups who can put something extra into our own software solution.
And are you going to include more point solutions into your enterprise solution?
Of course. Yeah, the philosophy is that we don't have to build it by ourselves. But if somebody else do it, just make sure we can easily adapt it in our ecosystem and make an integration with it.
Yeah. And Herman, how has this need to embed technology into your organization changed in any way this year with COVID-19?
Yeah, I think that everybody probably around this table, everybody who's tuning in today probably has felt that. This is, the impact is huge. Yeah. And it did, however, not change our ambition to become that fully employee-centric and people insights-led company. I would say, as a matter of fact, it even, our drive and our commitment is stronger than ever before.
Yeah, you're very passionate about it. If your team is just as passionate now, that's a really strong driving force.
But I think that's fundamentally what needs to happen. And and again, it's not easy, but I think that's how we need to drive.
Yeah. And what does the future hold of Heineken? Where are you on your transformation journey, and where are you heading to?
Well, the present and the future are exciting. So that's where we should begin. And what we are currently doing basically is basically 2 things. So we are trying to standardize and simplify and automate our value chain as much as we can, because that's not where you differentiate. I think that's hygiene. Every HR organization should have standard workflows. And then on top of that, you can build those solutions. Really, that's you know, that your employees basically have told you this is where you need to focus on.
Yeah.
That's how you can make the difference, and that's where you drive. And I think that journey is super challenging, but it can also be super rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, if that is what you keep in mind, and if you are ready to fail, and if you are ready to also embrace that failure actually is a blessing in disguise, you know, then we can truly all continue to move forward.
Yeah.
And again, an HR transformation is not an easy thing, right? Everybody around the table will probably acknowledge that immediately.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. No, but true. People change, the needs change. So it's totally different. Like we talk about 5 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago, it was a different kind of mindset that people have and different needs that they have. So now we're in 2020, and we all have like an in-home demand for getting a good onboarding and experience. Yeah. That's true.
And for me, it is fundamental. This is a continuous journey. You know, basically, nothing is ever finished, just upgraded. If you think about software, nothing is ever finished, just upgraded.
Yeah.
And if you embrace that kind of mindset, then you can truly also move on and move forward. Only if you do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Herman, for your inspiring story with all these valuable lessons, also for in life. I think we have to give him an applause.
Really?
What do you think?
Definitely.
I think so. Thank you. Now the audience will think, what's going on there? This is my applause button, and I love it already because there's nobody here in the studio. So let's go to the presentations. And Noortje is going to talk about onboarding in a way to make your new hires from all over the world feel at home at Lightyear. So enlighten us, and please go to the presenter stage and prepare yourself. Now, we would like to invite you sitting at home to ask questions that comes up while watching the presentations, and you can write them in the Q&A part in the chat. And please stay tuned till the end of the session, where we will answer the questions. Will be answered by the speakers. Good luck, Noortje.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'd like to tell something about onboarding at the company that I work in, which is Lightyear. And specifically, I'd like to talk about our intercultural onboarding and how we use this to create an impactful employee journey. So a little bit about Lightyear. Lightyear comes from a legacy of creating solar cars. So our 5 founders all participated in the World Solar Challenge, experiencing firsthand what it is like to create a car and to drive a car solely by using the power of the sun. So in 2017, they realized this was something that they could use for a solar challenge, but they could use it for such a broader public as well. So they founded Lightyear in 2017. And just taking a leap forward, this is some statistics of the last quarter, Q3 2020. And you can see that the 5 men they were in 2017 has expanded quite a bit. So we're with over 120 employees now. And we're based in Helmond, the Netherlands. But you can see on the map that we have quite a few different nationalities within our company. So I have colleagues from South Africa, from India, from Italy, from Greece, from Colombia, from Mexico. So a really intercultural company. You can also see as well here on the left side that we are an engineering company. So that reflects in that most of the people work in technology, but as well some in operations, or that I work in HR, the people and processes, as well as strategy and finance and commerce. And that we're an engineering company also kind of reflects in our gender distribution. So we are quite a male-dominated company with 80% men, something that I'm not so proud of that we're working on. So a lot of people ask me, what is it like working in such a startup company and building such a revolutionary product? And I'd like to show you a video. So we're going to go to a video now, what it's like of building a car. Because I think what is fundamental is when building a car that is revolutionary, that you also need to build a company that is revolutionary. So everything that you're going to design of that company needs to enhance that car that is so special. So I will quickly show a video now of what it is like to work in such a company.
Some people like to climb mountains. I like to build planes in the air.
I grew up wanting to be on a wing, wanting to be up this high.
Sometimes the temperature up at altitude will reach 60 below. It's brisk, it's refreshing.
You never know what you're going to come across up here. Canadian geese, mallards,
Owls. These people back here, that's why I come to work. That's why I build airplanes in the sky.
We're not just building a plane here. We're building a dream.
I love this job.
I get a lot of thanks up here. When I look over there and I see that little kid, I look in his eyes, that's all the thanks I need.
EDS, managing the complexities of the digital economy.
Yes, so I think the takeaway is that it's a fine balance between full panic mode and being fully engaged. So you're basically selling a car that you haven't even built yet, and you're jumping in there and you're feeling absolutely fine, but it's also a fine balance between being fully in panic mode of what you're actually doing. And I think this is very important for the story later on of how we do onboarding at Lightyear. And before I tell you about how we do it at Lightyear, I'd like to tell a little bit more about how my onboarding was at Lightyear. So this was me in 2017, and I was looking for an internship. I did not really like cars, so this was a little problem because I found Lightyear, and I did really like Lightyear. But like any good marriage, we made some concessions. I started to like cars a little bit more, and I started working at Lightyear as an intern. And my onboarding was like catching a bus that had already left, or like jumping onto that airplane that already was taking off. So it was not really positive. And this was me. It's not such a charming photo, but this was me on my first day. I did not look happy. This, by the way, is my food. I was having lunch on the toilet because I did not know if I was allowed to have my lunch at my desk. And my buddy was on a holiday. He was not there on my first day. And I did not dare to ask anyone. So that was also kind of my stupid fault. But this was not so happy. So a couple of weeks passed, a couple of months passed, and I started to realize something. I started to realize that I kind of signed up for it. I wanted to work in a company that allowed me to explore, that gave me responsibilities, that did not pave the way for me. So I think I realized a little bit later on that this was also exactly why I wanted to join a startup company. And things started to go better, and this was one of the first things that I had to do as an intern, and that was host a team activity. So this was us sailing, which was lots of fun. And what you can also see from those two pictures is in the meantime, we started growing and growing and growing. So this was what the office looked like when I came in. There were 3 little offices, just a small, tiny coffee machine, and a lot of people in a small space. And this is a video, which we'll go to now, I think. Yeah, this is a video of us moving another project in June of when I joined. And we started to move from 30 square meters to 1,000 square meters. And I think that the takeaway is that we wanted to move from that growing, and needed to think about how are we gonna facilitate this growth. We wanted to think about how are we gonna onboard all those people. And I think what is important here, and that was something that was close to my heart, how we're gonna make sure that we're gonna get away a little bit from this full panic mode and give the people more empowerment. So we still want to give them maybe a little bit of panic mode, but not so much as this one. So we started to design how we wanted to give our onboarding a look. And what I think is important here is that we did not, as Herman just mentioned already too, it's not about that first day only. So it's not about making sure that they know that they can have lunch behind their desk if they want to, or that their buddy is not on a holiday when they arrive. It's also making sure that in the weeks before they receive the proper information. It's as well as setting or implementing specific moments throughout that onboarding, those couple of weeks, that they know what to do, they have a cultural fit. It's giving them a buddy, giving them the moment to meet someone that will help and guide them, and still giving them a little bit of the panic by challenging them and giving them some problems to work on. So I'd like to quickly highlight a couple of those moments of which we implemented within our onboarding. So in pre-boarding, what we did is we wanted our employees to have that cultural fit. And who can decide best? That's our CEO. So we said, in the last interview, we want you to have a call with our CEO, and we want to check if you really are here and you're really joining for the right reasons. As well as we started with Apical, so using a platform to give them that practical information that they need to know before their first day. And we also started to implement specific moments, so both emotionally, tackling those first day nerves that I had, as well as practically, just making sure they got all the right stuff and information that they can get up and running. And throughout that onboarding, give them checklists, give them information that they can get back to whenever they don't know what to do anymore. And this was actually last Friday, our onboarding session, so this is more of a motivational and inspirational moment that we have implemented. Also, again, with our CEO, so the one that can explain best why we do what we do. So we've hosted a talk for them to discuss these things. And this is kind of where we still want them to be challenged. So what we always do is to give those starters a challenge, make them part of that flying, what is it called, airplane that is already in the sky. So what we do within our onboarding is we give them a challenge to work on within Lightyear. So this was the last challenge done by the September group of onboarders. And they said, we wanted to bring the people together, especially now in Corona. So we're going to create a friendship book where everyone can fill out their details. And I think this is so nice to make starters already part of the company. And what I'd like to highlight last on is that I think for a lot of people, starting a new job is challenging and it can be scary and you don't know what to do. But there are people joining from different countries that leave their friends and family all at home. And the company that you're going to provide to them is going to be their homes. And I think that is something that we tend to forget sometimes, is that they leave everything behind when they come here. So I think for us, what is really important within their onboarding is that we try to facilitate a home for people. And we try to do that, for example, by providing extra information. So our starters that come from different countries, they have a course where they can find information about how does the IND work, how does the public transport work in the Netherlands. We give them an international buddy so they can have someone that has been through it all to help them give the information, as well as being part of a team. So I think what is fundamental is that you have this smaller group of people to fall back on, and even on the longer days, still be there together. As well as give them access to learning. So this is Dutch classes, which we provide to our internationals employee, which is just a fun and informal way to learn a language. As well as share their homes. So give them the ability to still talk and to feel about their homes. So this is Friday afternoon drinks where we meet the different countries of our employees, which is always heaps of fun. And with homes also comes cuisines. So this is Italian, Friday Italian party, pizza party with our Italian colleague Simona. It's also being vital together. So it's doing fun stuff, such as doing sports together. And of course, it's also holidays, and it's also rewarding in that way. So we have 40 holidays, and we allow them to go back home to their parents, to their families, or with their colleagues. And of course, also celebrating holidays together. So I think this is going to be especially difficult this Christmas when we cannot actually physically be together to celebrate this. And also together even when apart. So we try to facilitate as much things to still be together. So digital coffee moments, or just give them a small gift to say thank you for the work that they do. And I think in the end, it's not necessarily an HR thing. It's not necessarily a buddy thing. Onboarding is never just a one-man's job. So just a little shout out to my HR team. But I think in the end, it is everyone that you need in the company to facilitate this nice home that you can provide to your starters. And with that, you can only create an impactful onboarding when you have an impactful culture. This was my presentation. Thanks.
Oh, my applause button is not working. Thank you, Noortje. That was really, really great. No. think you're so sparkling. You did so well. It was so nice to listen to you and to watch you doing the presentation. If I may say so, as a presentation coach. I always look with a different eye at presentations.
Yeah, it's close to my heart, so I think it makes it easier to talk about it because, you know, it's kind of my everyday job.
Yeah,
so
and it shows.
Yes.
It's very, very strong.
I like what you said about, I started off by saying that experience is king, and you actually made it very practical because it was the moments that matter. And you spoke about moments that matter when you come and how you connect and the hangouts. I really like this, yeah.
Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah. I have a first follow-up question, or actually two. Yeah, there's always one, but there's two. What's the growth rate you expect for the employee count at Lightyear?
We expect, or we hope to have over 200 employees in the next year.
Okay, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, you need quite a lot of people if you want to build a car. So
that's true. And how do you think to maintain your current company's culture?
I think what is really, really, really important is that as a startup, I think, so when I joined, we were with 20 people, and culture was something we kind of maybe took for granted. So you work on a mission, you have your core values, and that's kind of it. You have your Friday afternoon drinks, and that works, and everyone's happy. And once you start growing, you start to realize that you cannot take those things for granted. So I think it's very important that when you start growing, that you have people dedicated to maintain and to keep that culture thriving, so to say. So I think it's very important to just have one person or multiple people completely being dedicated to exploring and continuing that mission and that culture. So that's super important for me.
Yeah. And HelloFresh actually will talk about this topic this Thursday. Nice. So if you're interested in the topic, don't miss out on it. Sander, did you hear something from Noortje that is well applicable to Visma?
Yeah, not only for Visma, but for a lot of from our customers. So the culture thing really makes a lot of sense because culture is one thing, but also the why, because you're mentioning about why Lightyear is the company that does the things that they do. And it's really important if you are looking for dedicated employees from all over the world that they really can also breathe the same philosophy that Lightyear has. You know, if you take a look at the recruitment page of Lightyear, the first thing that they say on the recruitment page is that they say, this is Lightyear. This is why we are here and do the things that we do. And that really sticks to me because I'm not also a car person, I'm more like a motorcycle person. But I really felt, not knowing the company of Lightyear, not knowing anything about solar solution, I really felt why they were here and doing the things that they do. So that's a really big shout out
to hear.
Yeah, nice. So we're learning from each other already. How great is that? Now, Sander, you're next for your presentation.
Yeah.
And Sander will give Visma's view on how important onboarding is for a successful employees journey. So you're already there. Take the stage.
Yeah, sorry.
Do what you want. So once again, for the audience, don't hesitate to ask any questions in the chat, and our speakers will answer them at the end of the session. Good luck, Sander.
Thank you. Sure. All right. Good morning, everybody. Like Cyril mentioned, my name is Sander. I work for the company Visma. And well, Visma is a European cloud software company who has a lot of solutions in all kinds of HR processes. So not only the onboarding part, but we really believe at Visma that onboarding is one of the most powerful HR process that you can provide as a company. So this is something about us. We're a leading European cloud software company that help people and organizations move forward every day. But we also do that because we believe in empowering people through technology. So I have a really big technology heart, and it's all about supporting processes by technology. And at Visma, we believe in two things. We believe in freedom of choice and the fact that every customer is unique. And that's quite interesting because if you take a look at the main team that we have here, you know, onboarding as part of an impactful employee journey, how does that relate if every customer is unique, you know, and that they have the freedom of choice? So we don't only do the onboarding part, but we do a lot about, you know, performance cycle, the recruitment, and ultimately, of course, the offboarding also. But we're going to take a look at onboarding, and we're going to do it by some customer cases. So we heard a really cool story about Noortje, about Lightyear. Herman told us something about what Heineken does, and we got a lot of customers at Visma who also have an onboarding part. But first of all, we're going to take we're going to go a little bit more specific about what we believe in and how that relates to the onboarding part. So we believe, again, in freedom of choice and the fact that every customer is unique. But if you take the main team, onboarding as part of employee journey, they all have one thing in common. Every company who thinks that onboarding must be included in one of the HR processes have one thing in common. Because the reason that they have an onboarding program is that there is a focus. And the focus is on integrating into the organization. And we already heard some great examples. It's because of culture, it's about compliance. They all have one thing in common, the focus integrating into the organization. And maybe you heard of it, but they do it via a principle that's called the 4 C's. Well, sometimes they add a 5C, and I'm gonna tell you something a little bit more about those C's. It's nothing new. Maybe you never heard about some of those C's, but I will briefly discuss it with you, and then gonna give you some customer examples. So, the 5 C's of onboarding. The first C is compliance. You know, what are the basic rules? What should everybody adhere to? You know, the safety rules, the anti-bullying policy, all those normal regulations that you have in your company. The first C, compliance. Second one is clarification. What am I going to do within the new company? You know, what is being expected of me as a new employee? What will be my role within my new function? So clarification. The third one, I think maybe the most important one, like we just mentioned it with Noortje, it's about culture. You know, what are the reasons that this company is doing the things that they do? What is the mission? What is the vision? I think everybody should know this from day one. Maybe when they first heard about the company, culture is going to be the main topic in the onboarding process. The fourth one is the connection. Maybe you can relate to it. Every company has some kind of groups, subgroups that you're part of. Know those groups. Know to find them quite easily when you start in your company. So connection. And the fifth one is the check back. And I think it's quite an important C in the whole onboarding part. It's about not only doing the onboarding and then say, okay, now you as a new employee are ready to go and do your thing. No, the check back is just keeping the conversation alive. So having the moment to talk with your new employee. How was the first week? What was the first month? What did you learn? Do you have any kind of tips for us as a company to keep improving the onboarding? Herman mentioned it. It's not just it's never finished, the HR process. It's just being optimized and upgraded. So the check back of the C, the fifth C, is really important in the whole onboarding part. Okay, so this is just the first beginning about what we see on onboarding. And I'm going to make it a little bit more specific. So we're going for a deep dive. And we're going to make it more specific by telling some customer cases. All right, so customer cases by those 5 C's. And the first one is compliance. And what do you see here? It's a picture of one of our biggest healthcare organizations that we have in the Netherlands. It's called the Onboard. And well, every major healthcare organization nowadays has some issues. You know, when the people start, it has to be expected that they are up and running and can do their work immediately, so they can fully include all the regulations. Onboard said, okay, we want to have a major impact on before they start, so before the first day. So they made an app, a digital app, where people tell something about their workday, so they can map the culture and know what is being expected from them when they started. So they do it via an app. If you take a look at clarification, and that's quite interesting because the customer, Hunkemuller, they have a great philosophy. They say, okay, every new employee is truly a new ambassador. So we want to provide them an app because they have the philosophy that an app is like our second nature. We all again are used to having apps in our life, and we can use them for clarification. So in the app that Heineken has, there's like a general chat function, but there are also some rules being explained of what you must do in a shop, and it's really useful. But it's an app that they provide to all the customers from when they start on day one. So that's clarification by Heineken. And of course, like Cyril mentioned it, we're of course a proud co-sponsor of the Jumbo cycling team. And the other part of Jumbo-Visma is of course Jumbo. And Jumbo is quite interesting because as a retailer, they are like in a hurricane of transformation. They are going from a standard retailer to an omni-channel retailer. So they sell both offline, but also online. And Jumbo, it's quite easily one of the oldest supermarket brands that we have here in the Netherlands. And they say, okay, when we are looking at onboarding, we have a few issues. One of them is the culture part, because it's one of the oldest one, but they're expanding their growth quite rapid. So they say if we want to keep our DNA really secured, then we must make this part of every new employee. So Jumbo made an escape room kind of onboarding path where they put all the onboarders together, and they made a game, a strategical game, where you as a group has to get a new product into the shelves of one of the stores. And a nice interesting thing is that you have to walk physically throughout the whole headquarter to know all the companies and really work together to put that product on the shelves. And just to ensure the DNA and that you really can understand why Jumbo does the things that they do. So that's culture by Jumbo. And you have the connection. It is really cool because the municipality of Emmen did a really unique thing, because they say, okay, we do have an app, we do something digital, but we also want to give our new employees a physical book. So they really published a book with all the basic rules in what you must know as a new employee when you work at the municipality of Emmen. They say it's something physical. You can really take it with you, show it at home, and it's not something that you put away in your pocket as you would describe it as an app. So they made a book, and it's really interesting, and it's also continuously improving with all the new regularizations. So there's a nice, interesting view in how you can connect with your new employees. And the last one, of course, it's something that we do also at Visma. It's the check back. Like I mentioned earlier, we really think it's important that you always keep the conversation alive with your new employees. So if you take a look at check back, this is one of the pictures that we have at our company of the onboarding. They do a little show, a little quiz. We ask each new employee after 1 month, do you have any tips or advice that we can improve in our onboarding, but also in the normal way of working? For me, as an example, I work for 10 years now at Visma. For me, it's okay. We do the things that we do. But if you come new to an organization, you're looking at processes with a fresh kind of view. It's really important to keep those opinions alive. So therefore, we ask every new employee, do you have a tip, do you have an advice after 1 month, after 3 months, and even after 6 months? So we make it part of our performance cycle that an employee has with their manager. All right, guys. These are like 5 examples that I'll show you by some of our client cases. Of course, we got a lot of experience and a lot of cases. I think it's important you always ask yourself, are the things that we do fittable for us as an organization? Do they fit at our DNA? And do they provide something in the whole employee journey? So never forget, one of the 5 C's is always part of the onboarding part. Normally culture as the main topic. But take a look at all the other varieties that you have in making a good onboarding program. It's not about technology, it's about the process and the people that helps a company further. Thank you very much.
So, Sander, that was really, really great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did a really good job.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult because I'm talking about all the different customers, and there's you got a lot of interesting thing about all those client cases, but it's not my own, you know. But it's really cool to see all those different kind of flavors that companies put in their onboarding program.
Yeah.
You can make a big mixture of it and put something that really works for your company as well.
Yeah, you did really good. I have a first follow-up question to your presentation. What is a big trend that you see in HR technology and solutions?
User experience. How do you want customers, or how do you want your new employees to react to your company? So with apps, with physical books, user experience is really key in the whole process.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah. It's about experiences, about moments that matter. It's about anytime, anywhere, any device, all the time.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
and the interesting thing is because the interesting thing, it's software and it's something that you provide to your customers. But we have a philosophy at Visma: it doesn't have to be like a Netflix solution. Netflix has one thing: to keep you as a person as long as involved in their software. And we strongly believe that you must. You have to do every HR process within 60 seconds. So it has to be adaptive, intuitive, and then you can go on. So we don't want you to spend much time in our software.
Yeah. And Noortje, did you hear something from Sander that you want to include in Lightyear's onboarding program?
Yeah, I think you highlighted some very interesting examples of how you can do it. Which triggered me was, for example, the book. And I'd like to have that something physical, something digital. I think that's exactly what you wanted to say, that it's not one fit for all solution, but it's the combination of all those different things, both physical and digital, and integrated in the way that works for your company. So I think there's some very interesting examples of how you can include that. And I don't think it's a one-fit solution for Lightyear, but it's something to look at for every company of how you can integrate it best within your company. So it's really nice.
No, thank you, Noortje. Now, we're now going to finalize this discussion and have some more questions from the audience that were asked during today's session. But let's start with today's poll. Let me see, because they appear here in the iPad. The poll results. The question of today was, what is for you the most important element of an onboarding program? Respond to it afterwards. Getting the basics sorted, laptop, accessories, and that was 6%. Learning to do the job, that as well 6%. Giving a warm welcome, 53%. Orientation into the organization strategy, structure, and culture, also 35%. Yeah, that was it.
All right.
Okay.
Are you surprised or?
Well, I think all these things are super relevant.
Exactly.
But I would also expect that orientation on strategy is something that you, as a candidate, already do before you have your first interview. So I think if you consider it a journey, then it starts after successful completion of your interview. Then you need to make sure that whatever you offer as a company to your new employee really mirrors what you are all about. I think that the example that you presented was super clear. It needs to excite you. I think if experience is really what it's all about, then you need to make sure that you carefully think about how you do this onboarding. And maybe everything that you do, by the way, as a company.
I mean, as an employer, you're not going to excel in handing out a laptop. Someone is not going to experience that as, oh my God, it was such a good day because I had a laptop. So those are not the moments as an employer.
No, it's a basic. It's a basic hygiene. But it could really frustrate a person if you come the first day to work and you don't have access to a sort of drive, or you don't have your personal things ready.
True.
So, but it's basic hygiene that has to be okay.
Yeah. Definitely.
Now, I see a lot of questions coming in actually here. So let's start with the questions from the audience. I see a few questions for Noortje. How do you integrate the relocation process in the onboarding experience? This question is from Peter Bloemsma.
Relocation?
Yeah. How do you integrate the relocation process in the onboarding experience?
I don't exactly know what he means with relocation. As in, we have one specific location that we work from. Oh, does he mean like one employee comes from a different country into Lightyear, that relocation?
I think so,
If it's meant like that, so that this is something that I personally don't do, but my colleagues from recruitment are more involved with, because it really starts from that moment, and the moment that I step in is the moment that they're going to enter the company, and that's when I am. So I think what is very important is both providing them that information. So what we, for example, do is within that course of integrating those people to the Netherlands, we provide them with all the information, and there's always one person dedicated in helping them, because obviously there's so much that you don't know if you're going to move to a new location.
Yeah.
So we just, it's mainly the recruiter that gets all the effort and all the work done in helping that person getting here to the Netherlands. And after that, it's helping them with housing, and I think mainly giving them a warm welcome and making sure they have this fit with the company and with the team. Then that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Now, I hope your question is answered, Peter. The next question also for you. How do you keep the idea of the Friends book alive and the interaction going?
That is a good one.
Rebecca Muller.
Thank you, Rebecca. I must admit, the friendship book was created about a month ago. So to be honest, it's still very much alive and kicking.
Yeah.
So what they did, which I think was very nice, is that they made a suggestion for all the buddies to fill it in before someone starts. So it's for me or the HR employee that works on it to have an incentive. So when an employee starts, to say to the buddy, hey, check if you already filled out the friendship book, because we will send it to the new starter.
Yeah.
And then you can maybe make a pass-on schedule that if I filled it out, I say to an employee, now you fill it out.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like within a week, over 50 employees already filled it in, because it's nice for people to talk about informal things. So it's very easy to keep such thing alive because it's fun. You tell about things that you like, so like your favorite food or the weird thing that you can do, and it's easy to keep those things alive because it's close to people's heart.
Yeah. Let me see. I see here a question for Sander. What did you improve in your onboarding program based on the feedback you received from the checkbacks? From Lucas.
What I did or what the company did?
What did you improve in your onboarding program?
Well, we made it, the first, when I had our onboarding, it was like a week. And it was 5 days, a lot of information with eventually also the example of you don't put your coffee into the plants because they're going to die. You know, it's something that facilities wanted to share with us, but it was not relevant. So what we did, yeah, it's true. It was one of the main topics, and also explaining the green exit signs, what it means when there was a fire. And I was, I know that. So what we did, we divided it into groups. So we really did. We say, okay, you're a sales rep, so this is relevant for you. You're a product developer, so this is relevant for you. So we made it more role specific in what you're going to learn the first weeks, and then we had a second onboarding where we made it a little bit general. So we say, okay, this is what other companies do in within the organization. It's good to know, but it's not quite relevant for you in the first thing you have to know.
Yeah.
So we split it.
Yeah.
Great.
And Lucas didn't ask one. I see that he asked actually more. The check bags, do you have more examples from that? And what would be a good question to ask a new employee?
I once heard a story about the company Toyota. They say if you are at the end of your first month, they ask the question, give us an idea how to improve our technology. So, you know, a car is being it's being made there in a fabric. So you start, and they have the wheels and the steering wheel, and at the end there's a whole complete car. They say you only get how do you say, the full contract? We want to hire you. I don't know the correct English word. You know, from probationary to the how do you say it?
Employment contract?
Yeah, without the probational time. They say you only get that contract if you give us one good advice. So what could be improved in that whole cycle, in the whole process, and otherwise we don't give you a contract. So that's quite interesting. So what we do at Visma, we ask every new employee to give us one thing that they can be improved within the whole process, and they really have to think about, not about, okay, the color has to be different, and don't mention anything about the coffee, or no, it has to be really pointed to something they can achieve in a higher goal at Visma.
Yeah.
And they really have to think about it.
Yeah. Herman, there's also some questions for you, of course. You were talking about the seamless experience for all HR applications. How far would you say we are from that?
It depends on where you are in the world.
Oh.
We started the journey roughly 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And at the start of our journey, we had a very fragmented landscape.
Yeah.
We're trying to defragment that as much as we can with one platform, and on top of that, we are basically building products. And wherever so if you are, for example, in Asia Pacific or the Americas, your journey is far more seamless than you are when you are in Europe, because in Europe we're still deploying the foundational piece of technology. But I don't think that we are quite there yet. I don't think that we will ever be there yet, because, as I said, I think
it's an ongoing process.
It's an ongoing process. And it's the next thing is waiting outside, and companies like yours, they come with new stuff that you have probably never thought of. So that's the beauty of working in this space nowadays, I would say.
Yeah. And let me see another question. What would you recommend as a first step to change an organization from old school to new school thinking? Question from Frank.
That's a super good question. I think there is no one answer here, because the context is in this case king, because your context will decide what needs to happen. In the case of Heineken, we had a fragmented landscape. We had fragmentation in things that you refer to as hygiene. There's no added value. You are not differentiating yourself in a marketplace with an exotic time-off process in, let's say, Nigeria versus Brazil. That is typically something that you want to standardize as much as you can. You want to make it simple. 60 seconds, brilliant. The differentiation happens when you bring in, the digital products that plug and play with that foundation. So, for example, Apical, the Apical product is something that we put on top of our digital platforms, and that's where you can truly differentiate. And this is also where you can start to make your experience seamless. And again, this is Heineken, this is our context. The question might be a fundamental different context. So there is no, unfortunately, one size fits all here.
I understand that. Let me see, I have another one for Noortje. How do you keep the same company values when your company grows exponentially? It's quite a difficult word, exponentially. From Matthias Roeland.
Thanks for your question. I'm not even 100% sure. So I think the foundation of your company should always be to have one specific mission or one specific set of key values. But I don't necessarily think it's the best to stick them forever, because the context of which you are as a company is completely changing all the time. So I think what I've really learned at Lightyear is that I can think of how I'm going to change my onboarding when we have 200 employees, and I should think about it, but not now, because the situation is not there yet. So I should think about it when the situation arrives, or at least I should be able to make that switch when the situation arrives. So I think the key values, kind of the same. They're set in stone up until a certain point. So this is what we truly believe in now, and I think that will stay almost the same, but might be that slight things change because the context of which we're working on is changing. And I think that adaptability and that flexibility is really needed once you start working in a company where your surroundings constantly change. So keep them the same and stick to them, and make sure that you tell your employees why they are important and that they are important, but everyone can have their own context of why it matters to me that I put people first within Lightyear. And that is absolutely fine, and it should have that context for everyone.
Oh, thought somebody wanted to respond. No. Let me see. I don't know if there are still more questions to be answered. I think we're through all the questions. Let me see. Then this was the last questions. Right. There's so much more to talk about and questions to be answered, but it's not over yet. In 5 minutes, you're able to join our networking sessions with the speakers and our fellow attendees. You should receive an invite link in your email in any second, but you can also find the links in the chat. But first, before we forget,
Yes.
it's time to announce the winner of the Onboard Award from our first category. So let's switch over to Victor Romein.
Thank you, Cyril, for this wonderful session. Right now, I will announce the winner of today's Onboard Award for larger companies. And the winner is PepsiCo Mexico. Congratulations.
Hi, this is PepsiCo team, and we want to thank you for
improving our new hires experience.
for your collaboration and guidance in this journey.
Thanks for all the support given.
Thanks for sharing your best practices.
Thank you for being part of our digital transformation.
And thank you for helping us to evolve our learning experience. We are very happy to receive this award.
Yay! Yay!
Congratulations, PepsiCo Mexico! Woohoo! And once again, there are still 2 more awards remaining. The onboarding reward for smaller companies will be given on Wednesday, and the reboarding award on Friday. Now I want to thank all the speakers here at the table. Noortje from Lightyear, Sander from Visma, and Herman from Heineken. And meet them in the networking session after this. And tomorrow you can tune in to learn more about pre-boarding with Microsoft, Apple, and smart recruiters. And the following days will cover personal onboarding, culture onboarding, reboarding, and remote onboarding. So don't forget to sign up if you haven't done so yet. Thank you for watching us this morning, and we'll see you tomorrow at 10. Bye.